Pastor.
How are you finally?
I'm fine. Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you for agreeing to join us. Thank you so much.
No problem. It's a pleasure.
Yes, sir. I'm so excited. Okay, so you're in the hot seat, and we have a couple of questions for you. And
Okay.
because we have been watching all of your Insta Live, we decided to do a flip on you. So the first question tonight, according to the questions you have been asking, doing diligence is doing little things for a long time until something big happens. What are the 3 little things you have done to achieve the great feats that you have accomplished?
Okay. I will. I would have just said, spend time praying, reading the Bible, but because that could be obvious to people, let me take some other 3 practices. All right, that I've done. Number 1, I spend consistently, and I do spend considerable amount of time daily in what I will call focused meditation. And what that means is you spend time making declarations, confessions about who you believe yourself to be, what your assignment is on the earth, and make sure that while you are doing that, you are creating mental pictures of the results that you want to see in your life. In other words, a person has to have a very sound conviction about your identity on the earth. So you have to do what is called self-actualization. In other words, you have to discover, the Bible says no man knows the things of a man except the spirit of that man. So you have to know things about yourself that nobody else knows, that you live by that code on the inside of yourself that gives you confidence, that gives you your sense of what you call self-esteem and self-worth. And so in order to be able to develop that, you have to spend time meditating and making declarations about yourself during that time of meditation. The second thing I would say that is very effective is you have to have a heart of gratitude and spend time thanking God and praising Him for any result you've had in your life. You have to look back into the whole history of your life. You have to identify the places, because if you're going to do big things, it has to come as a result of you being conscious of little victories that you had in the past. So let me put it this way. When David was going to face Goliath and he killed Goliath, the reason why David could do it was because David was conscious of the fact that he had killed a bear and he had killed a lion. Now, Saul did not believe that David could kill Goliath until Saul heard about when David told him, look, I killed a bear, I killed a lion, or a bear and a lion came against me. Then Saul said, okay, I get it. Even his brothers did not know. So when he was about to face Goliath, his elder brother said, disparaging words about him because he didn't know about his history. Now, people don't have to know. Anybody that tells you can't make it in life is because they don't know your real history in God. Now, if you don't know it, then you are lost on the earth. So it doesn't matter whether other people don't know it. You must be conscious of the victories that you have had, things that you survived, all right, even in childhood, things that you overcame, all right, difficult places you may never have told anybody about, all right. These are private things between you and God. But you have to build altars in those places. You have to go back to those places and give God thanks and praise for those things. So you live your life with a consciousness of the small victories, all right, that you have had in your life. And so you have those altars, which means you must have altars in your life. Those are the places you fight from. So, you went through a difficult situation where, maybe only you knew about it, and you faced something that was life-threatening, or you survived even an ill or an accident where, you saw people die, so you go back to those places, and there's nothing you are facing today. There's nothing big you want to do that a fraction of that thing. The blueprint is in something that has happened in your past. If you just are conscious of it. Now, if you forget those things, all right, like God said, he said, look, they forgot the things I did. And so they could not, even though they were armed, they were talented, they were gifted, but they had forgotten, all right, things I had done for them. So in the day of battle, they turned back. So many people are facing challenges today that are not as formidable as things they survived in the past, but they are not conscious, all right, of it. There are people that went through school without, having any regular way of being financed through school. If you ask them, how did you make it through school? They really cannot even explain. Then they come out into life and they are confronted with, they are sacked from a job and they say, oh, where's money going to come? But they've survived those kind of things, so you have to be conscious of it. So that's the second one. And then the third one will be reading books. But when I say reading books now, this is what's important. The soul never imbibes truth in living power except it requires it. So you have to read, all right, to be informed about things that you are going through right now. So, for example, if somebody starts a business, all right, you must read, all right, about maybe startups, okay? I mean, you want to read according to what you are going through. You want to, all right, find out what people have experienced in that particular field. So you are informed about that particular space where you are, that phase within your life. There is nothing that you're experiencing today that somebody has not experienced, and somebody has not written out what they did in that situation in order to succeed. So if you're well read, all right, in a relevant way, there's absolutely no way you're not going to be able to surmount it. All right, so those three things is what I'll say.
Thank you, Pastor. Cool. The next question says, talking about opportunity in adversity seems like a noble idea until you are facing all the tough decisions in the storm. How do you shut out the noise of the storm so you can focus on identifying opportunities?
Okay, that's a good question, and I will just quickly, as fast as possible, even though it's a big subject, but it's all about identifying opportunity, which is what you're asking about. Now, let me describe just briefly how the mind works. Now, it is said scientifically that when you look into your environment, your mind actually picks up 400 billion bits of information. But the only amount you are aware of is about 2,000. So if you look at the environment, there's so much information coming. But what you are aware of is a minute fraction. Now, so the question is, how does your mind select what you are going to be aware of? Now, it's based on something in what's called your reticular activating system or your personal recognition system. So if two people look at situations, right, all the information is there. Some people become conscious of something. Some people are conscious of some other thing. For example, let me give an example here. If somebody stands on the balcony of their house and looks out, somebody sees somebody wearing a red shirt running across. Another person looks and sees a green car. That's what they're conscious of, driving past. Now, why did that person see the red shirt and this other person see the green car? It is what your mind recognizes has to match something that has already happened in your life. That's what to recognize. So if you, maybe the first time you went somewhere, you got into a verbal or something happened and the person was wearing a red shirt. If when you look out of the window, because you've had an experience with that color of shirt, your recognition system picks it. If somebody else, maybe the reason why they picked the color of that car was because the first job they got when they went to the office, the car that was parked was that exact color. So because that is in their system, when they look, they pick, all right, that color. So when it comes to recognition of opportunities, you put adversity between people. Depending on what is going on in your mind, some see that there is a casting down others see there's a lifting up. Some see an opportunity, others do not see an opportunity. Now, so how then, all right, does the person who looks at it and says there's an opportunity here, and somebody else looks at it and says this is complete failure, all right? Let me give an example. I was speaking to a pastor friend just now in America, and he told me that a very good friend of his in ministry said that from this COVID-19 and going online, even when they come back and the social distancing has been cancelled and we can all come back to church, they realized that it was more effective online than offline. So the way they're going to design their church is 3 services will be online, 1 service will be offline, which means only the first service, maybe first Sunday, they will all gather. After that, now somebody else, because he has seen something. So what we want to find out now is, how do some people see opportunities while some other people do not see? Now, the way the mind works is, whatever you have experienced, you are going to recognize it once you say it. So what you have to do is, you have to take what your goals are, all right, regardless of what's going on. Before the crisis came, these are my goals. What those goals are, you have to constantly affirm them as existing realities in your life. Once your mind accepts, and through your confession it has entered into your heart, that this is what I have achieved this year. Once the 400 billion bits of information comes, your mind is going to select and make you recognize these are the opportunities available right now in the midst of this adversity to still actualize a particular dream. While if somebody else is filling their mind right now with adversity, with fear, with all of that, once they look at it, they'll be recognizing opportunities to fail and they'll be pulling back, while somebody else is looking at it and recognizing opportunities to succeed. So there's something called your reticular activating system or your personal recognition system, and that's the difference majorly between people that succeed and fail. It's not about hustle, it's about recognition first of opportunity. And that comes because somebody, has already programmed, themselves for where they're going to. And so they can see in their environment while other people simply cannot see it. So what we should be doing right now is making sure they work on their mind. They don't allow what is going on right now to infiltrate their mind and make them feel that, it's going to be a disastrous year, or, we are going to lose a lot of revenue. If that's what's there, then that's what you're going to see. If you still think that regardless of what's going to happen, the goals that I have are going to be achieved, then your mind goes to work to recognize it.
Wow. Thank you, Pastor. That was amazing. Okay, so the next question is, if I don't see options in my current line of business to diversify into, do I stay because of passion, especially if I strongly believe this is a calling, or do I abandon ship for the need to survive?
Do I abandon ship, do you say?
Yes. Should I abandon ship for the need to survive?
Okay. That if I no longer see any opportunity.
Yes.
All right. So there are 2 things you said there. No longer see opportunity, which is a catchword, and passion. Now, let me first of all define passion, because a lot of times people don't know. If your passion is different from your ambition. If people have an ambition, it's always about external things, wealth, power, riches, material things. If a person has a passion, the passion has come as a result of interacting with your community and environment, then recognizing something, and then you say, we can do this thing better. We can do it this way. We can make it that way. So that becomes passion. So passion is always connected to your environment, while ambition can just be selfish. Now, a business, therefore, if it's going to follow the passion, a business, therefore, it now becomes somebody who says, we can do this better. How do we now monetize what we are doing? Now, that's monetize my passion. That's what is now called a business. Chasing your passion is not business. Monetizing the passion now is business. Now, if you are not making money, you are not in business. Business is about making money from that particular thing. Okay? So you have a passion, which means you saw something, and that's why passion and vision are linked, because it's your vision. Now, vision therefore means you saw something, because it's vision, it means see. So you saw something, and then you are building a business around it. So if the question is, if I can no longer see opportunity, then if you can no longer see opportunities in what you are doing, then get out of it. And where you see the opportunity, go to it. All right? If you can no longer see, because once you cannot see, you cannot accomplish anything. But passion actually means while I'm interacting, which means, you know, someone says, I have a passion to make clothes. Now, it came as a result of interacting, and then suddenly the person saw someone and says, this is what I want to do with my life. Now, the business now is, how do I monitor, which is a different thing. You can be doing it, and some people are better at monetizing, all right, their passion, and some people. So it has to be, all right, something that you can monetize. And when you want to monetize it, then it goes into different things. That's a separate thing. It's business. It's separate from passion. All right.
Thank you, Pastor. I have a personal question.
Yeah.
Because I feel like our generation, this present generation, is we're hung up on instant gratification. So we don't seem to understand the place of separation and hibernation when something new has to be birthed. And there are a couple of examples in the Bible. And you know, when God was going to speak to Mary, she had its time of separation where he was constantly speaking to her about the birth of Jesus. When Joseph went through all the stuff he went through with his brother, he had to go somewhere, a land that he didn't know he was sold. When Jacob went through stuff, he was on the staircase by himself where angels appeared to him. God told Abraham to leave everybody that he knows, and he should go to a new land. A lot of people, a lot of people in my generation, like our age range, somewhat feel like separation is like a death sentence. I want you to please shed light on the principles of separation for the greater good. Like right now, there are some people who right now are making all the money in this period, which is a good thing. But there are some people that seeds have been sown into them that will generate wealth for centuries to come. So I want you to like shed light. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. Like the principle of separation. It's okay for you to take time out to hibernate, to build on a dream.
Okay. Let me just say something here. I don't think I've ever said this publicly. You know, I think part of God, I mean, I don't believe God sent a virus into the earth, but I believe part of God's own, like something meaning for evil, God turns around for good, is that I think God wants to slow the earth down, slow everybody down, and get people into this issue of hibernating. I think it's almost like there's just been too much. Let's just slow it down. And the reason I'm saying this is that when God got the nation of Israel, he told them that every 7 years you must cause the land to rest. They didn't do that. And it accumulated over some time. And then God said, the punishment for this is we are going into 70 years of bondage for the purpose of causing that land to rest. That was what the real problem was. Wow. So I think a lot of people, all right, on the earth, and that's why people should not miss the spiritual significance of this moment, which is that you are forced now to stay indoors. And therefore you have to and separate. There's that social distancing. So you are separated from people. All right. You are separated from even trappings of success. You are separated from all of that. And there's a scripture that Jesus said. He said, when you are going through adversity, he said, in patience you will possess your soul, which means you will discover. And I think that is majorly what's going on. Now, what's going to happen after this is that the next, you can write this down, the next set of brilliant, whether business ideas or even brilliant things that will be done in ministry, will be things that people conceived during this time. And it's people that, people that practice it. What you're talking about here, separation and all of that, that's where you birth new business. I believe everybody should spend at least 30 minutes every day alone, just on the purpose of meditating, to conceive ideas, to process things. But there's so much activity and all that. So let's take it that this was forced upon us. But the divine purpose in all of it, as I can see, is that it's going to give people the opportunity, all right, being separated, all right, from people, in order for you to come into contact, all right, with your own self, with the reality that is on the inside of you, and birth things inside your heart. So I think that's what this reason will do for people.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you so much.
All right.
The next question. In a lot of industries, this one is for the event industry, my colleagues, was sent to one of my colleagues. In a lot of industries, there are alternatives, but the event industry is solely based on the gathering of people. Can there be a silver lining with respect to this industry? Because we know a couple of events that we had lined up had to, some cancelled, some postponed. But if we're being honest with ourselves, we know that even after they call this off, it will take a while to desensitize people, because everyone is like, I can't open a door the way I would usually open. Like in the time past, I'll just touch a door handle and just open it. There's a consciousness, there's a shift. So do you think that there will be a silver lining for people in the event industry?
Yeah, there will be. I can say this confidently, but I will also tell you, as I am now, I don't know what it will be. All right. But they will. Number two, people shouldn't forget this. We are going to get back to normal. All right. This crisis, in a very large way, in terms of, that is the truth, in terms of how much it will damage the health of people, in terms of the figures that will come out at the end of it, will show that to an extent we blew it out of proportion. All right, the media blew it out of proportion. Some people will agree that it shouldn't have been that some of the decisions that were taken were too severe on the economy. So the major problem is actually going to be the economy, not a health issue, because of decisions that were made. So people are going to return back to normalcy. So people shouldn't look at it as, oh, we will be in this state, right, for a very, very long. So people will return to normality. Now, the truth about the matter is that as you folks are events, church programs are events too, so we are both in the same line of work, which is event, because every Sunday is an event. So, and people cannot gather. And I do not see, like you are saying, immediately after the shutdown is called off, I don't see church services beginning large gatherings. They won't allow that for some time. So people have got to adjust to, how am I going to do it? Now, the truth about the matter is, for events right now, I mean, it will take a lot of innovation to be able to make money as an events person right now. Okay? But to lay a foundation to make more money when normalcy comes in can be done. But to actually make money right now, I mean, I can't see how. It might be possible in some ways, but to lay the foundation, in other words, organizations can be doing things online that immediately everything is off. People say, what was that organization that was doing that online? I came in contact with this organization. I came in contact with this organization. I didn't know you do. So there's a lot that people can do, all right, at this particular point in time, so that when things open up, the amount of money that comes in wipes away, all right, all the losses. It can be done, all right. Small players can many things can be done during this time, all right, because normalcy is going to come round about July, and of that normalcy will begin to come back into it, and people will adjust back. I don't think people are going to be thinking about door knobs in October, and they might be saying that now, but the truth about the matter is, once they start reading, nobody has COVID-19, 0, they're seeing 0 everywhere. After some time, people will. So normalcy is going to come back. People shouldn't forget that. All right. And people also should know something. A lesson that must be learned is that when you are making money and it's already, always keep something in store. All right. Because Joseph, when there was 7 years of abundance and they went into 7 years of famine, and God showed it through Pharaoh to Joseph. Joseph didn't say, let's play away the 7 years of famine. He said, let's prepare for the 7 years of famine. So if people, and he did that by setting aside 10%, so that when the famine came, they still had, all right? And then after 7 years, something else will come. So I believe normalcy is going to come back again, all right? Some people might get real hurt, and that's because they did not, lay aside things when they were making a lot of money, they were spending it. So they will get hurt. That hurt, you are going to learn your lessons, all right? But I think during this time, I can't see how anybody, but the silver lining there is that a lot can be done right now to reposition your business in the minds and in the consciousness of people. All right?
Thank you, Pastor. Okay, so this next question, I love this question. It says, share a time in your life, especially in your younger days, that you faced adversity. What did you learn from it, and what brought you out of it?
All right. Let me answer this question this way, because let me, so that it's beneficial to people. I mean, I can just talk. I mean, we can talk about adversity this way, but I want to say, particularly to people who are in business, you're dealing with people. A lot of times, the adversity that I've learned that we get into comes as a result of being overtly emotionally attached to people and not being able to make strong decisions early enough, all right, about people that you might like, I might be emotionally attached to. And a lot of times that is the trigger that causes major problems in the lives of people. So the scripture says, every man is tempted when enticed and drawn away of his own lusts. The word lust means a disease condition in his soul. So there's a condition in his soul that is the trigger. Now we can look on the outside and blame this and blame that, or you can blame somebody and blame this person and blame that friend and blame that. But if you want to be honest with yourself, all right, many times, the Yorubas have it saying that there's nothing that will harm you that won't come into the range of your vision first. In other words, anything that's going to come and pierce you, your eyes will have seen it afar off. But you just did not make the decision when you should have made that decision early enough. All right. So some of the adverse situations I've been in life have come as a result of not making the decision. And when you don't make that decision and you allow the wheat and tear to grow together, then nobody understands you. So you almost have to wait it out, because nobody's going to understand. I mean, if people just say 4 people are friends, it's only the people that are in it that know the dynamics of what's going on. All right. So if you don't make that decision early enough, or sometimes you destroy relationships, you can save relationships by making. For example, let me just say this here. When we started Covenant, I started it. A friend of mine, all right, joined me when we started it, and I didn't think it was right for him to join me, but because he was my friend, right, it was hard to say, don't come. They'll say, aren't you guys friends? All right. So what happened was he used to take announcements. He used to talk, right? Because he was my friend, and I let him share before I come up. So he actually used to speak before I come up, and then it's time for the pastor. But he will never say, let us welcome the pastor to come now. He will just finish and just get off the pulpit. Then I will have to walk up. So there were 3 of us that were friends. So one of the third friend wrote me a note and said, you should say that the pastor is coming up. Well, I don't know how. So we were going to have a ordination service. And so we sat down to do the ordination service. And Bishop Oyedepo came to do it. And then as I was leaving, he said, come and see me in my office tomorrow. And I said, okay. So I came to his office. And he said, who was that? And this guy that was sitting by you, he knew he was my friend. I said, yes. He said, tell him to leave your church now. He said, or else he's going to break that ministry in future. So now, when he said it, I knew what he was saying, but I did not have the guts. All right. So sometimes we now get into adverse situations because now me and him are friends today because I walked into his house and I held a conversation with him and I caught it. He didn't like it, but it preserved our friendship. Later on, if I didn't do it, the church would have been split, would have been permanent, and it would have taken 25 years or so to recover. And I would have known that I knew this from the get-go, and I didn't make that call that I should have made. So that's what, and coming out of it will therefore mean that you now have to make, all right, go to God and say, look, I'm going to make the decisions right when I do that. All right.
Thank you, Pastor.
Yeah.
So the next question, how does one base faith and reality, especially in this time when you want to pay staff, but cash flow doesn't support reality?
No. Yeah, I mean, I gave an example of Joseph in terms of setting things aside. And so let me be honest with that in terms of it. Now, if you don't have the cash flow to pay workers, you don't have the cash. So you can't become money. However, so of course, everybody knows there's no money. But here's where the problem can be. And this is what people should learn. People will suffer with you when there's no money. If when there was money, they enjoyed being with you. So if when there was money, it's only you that was spending the money, it is going to be hard for them to go and tell them there's no money now. Now, but this is one law of success. You must always rate people above money. Always. Okay? So, but if there's no money, there's no money. All right? Now, you will always get money back. Now, this is how you got to think. You will always get money back. Okay? But talent, particularly talent that understands the culture, that has certain expertise, is not easy to replace. So you have to look at your business. You have to look at the core people that you feel these people are the carriers of this business with me in terms of, and you have to protect talent by all means. You have to protect talent because you can get money back. All right. Once everything normalizes, you get money. But if you don't have that talent, if you don't have talent, you can't find talent anywhere. All right. Even if you hire talent, if they don't understand your culture, it can create a problem. So you have to protect talent. So you have to think that way. Now, There might be people that emotionally you just brought into the business, and maybe it's time God is telling you that, you see, all these emotions you have been doing, you have been seeing the results of it. So you may have to lay off people, all right, but even that, it has to be done properly, okay? But if you don't want to lay off people, then if there's some cash, you can stagger it down and say, we can only pay 20%, 25%, right? But, 30%, all right? But once this thing comes back into it and business starts picking up, then maybe you can increase their salary, all right, maybe by 5%, just to show as a reward for their dollar.
Thank you, Pastor. The next question, a school of thought says niche, then others say multiple streams of income. What is your take on that, especially regarding excellence, focus, and faith? What would you advise in this time?
All right, you said excellence, focus, and faith, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me first say this. If you are not focused on what you are doing 100%, you cannot succeed. Now, when you talk about diversification, so what people think is, once I start diversifying, my focus on my business, I gets spread. But that's not correct. What people need to understand is, when you start a business, you are focused as the individual contributor on the operations, on getting certain things. But once the business begins to grow, your focus as the head of that business changes, all right, to the development of people, to creating unity among your team, to recruiting the right talent, creating unity, establishing the culture, aligning them, and getting. So you move out of direct operations to some other thing, but you have to be focused on that thing. In other words, your focus has now changed from moving this cup from here to focusing on making sure it's the right person that is moving the cup, and that person does it well. So it becomes supervision there. Now, once you have that, your responsibilities begin to grow. So when it comes to diversification, you now come to a point where your own focus now is, how now do we expand this business? All right, because capitalism, that's what capitalism is. Capitalism is about your ability to draw out several things from one product. So capitalism is like a cow. In the past, once people get a cow, you take the cow, you kill the cow, you eat the meat, it's gone. Capitalism now means, look, there's more we can get from this cow. All right, we can milk the cow. Even if we kill the cow, there are things we can do out of it. We can create this, we can create this, we can take the skin and go into leather products, we can take the horn and do several things. And that's what entrepreneurship is about. That's what capitalism is about, the ability to look at something you are doing that is successful and draw out that. But you are now focused on diversification. You get what I'm saying? And you have left the operations to somebody else to focus. So when you diversify, you are now focused on maybe 6 companies, all right, making sure that they run properly. So your focus now is selecting. So you are still focused, but you have grown in your responsibility. And if you are still focused on the operations of one, and you now diversify, then you can't because you haven't redefined your role, right? So as your business grows, your role begins to get redefined, which means a person is a painter, he was painting houses, you are focused on that. After some time, you move to now hiring the right painters, so things are changing in terms of that. So you should diversify, but your focus shouldn't be broken.
Okay, thank you, Pastor. This question is actually very broad. So she asks that what are in this fledgling economy, coupled with the mirage of uncertainty in the business environment, what are the strengths, opportunities, and weakness opportunities that you think the season is laden with?
For event people.
Well, generally speaking.
Okay, let me say it. Let me say that because all businesses are now forced to go digital, okay? Now, therefore, the businesses that cannot be affected through digital means now say, look, we will suffer from this. Those who, all right, who didn't look at that digital aspect in the past are now so the equivalent is that they will discover a lot of things. For example, like as I am now, using the digital space, we actually have had a better outreach in church than when we were all just meeting. So now we'll go back to the meeting, but there are some things I've discovered about the use of the digital that we will never. So that has created some strength there. Okay, but in terms of weaknesses, there, if somebody says, "Well, our business just can't function in the digital space," so we are suffering from that. But in that case, then the person has to become innovative. I actually think that when I say innovative now, it means that you may have to look at the business properly, like we talked about the cow, and said, all you've been doing is eating the meat. What else about this business can we do? For example, let me give an example here. And it might be completely different, right, from what you have been doing, but it's like it. For example, Nokia, they were a paper making factory, used to make paper. And after some time they ran some difficulty, all right, and they just didn't reproduce it thinking that's why they collapsed. But in the meeting, while they were talking, they said, what do we do? And somebody said, we are actually a communications company, because what's happening is people are writing on a paper and lighters, and so we're communication. Is there any other thing we can create that people can use to communicate? And then they moved to cell phones, all right, which didn't look like paper, but as far as they were concerned, it's the same thing. And then they went into it. So this also might give people an opportunity that, you know, what else can we do? But that will take a high order of thinking. And the only way you get to that kind of thinking is by reading and reading and reading. Because look, the best ideas in the world, nobody's idea, no creative idea comes as a result, comes from nowhere. What happens is ideas, information actually has what you call set within the brain. In other words, you read something somewhere, you read something somewhere. Both information mixes in you, and then it gives birth to a third information. So when you create that, it becomes new, but it's actually, you know, you are mixing ideas. So you need to have raw material to work with. In order to have raw material, you read about experiences of people, and then that interacts within your mind, and you're able to create something that, even if it's events, is actually in the event business. All right, but it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't look like an event business, but it's actually, all right, an event business. So you can do that, and that will work. But it will take high order of people.
Okay, Pastor, the last question.
Yeah.
Because we're running out of time. Can you give us 3 books that you have read that has changed your life? That is not the Bible.
Mystery of Capital.
Okay.
The Mystery of Capital. Rockefeller's Success Habit.
Success Habits.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. The Rockefeller, Mastering the Rockefeller Habits, I think. All right, Mystery of Capital, and Breaking the Barriers to Growth.
Okay.
The fourth one, I can't say publicly.
Okay, you can send it to me by WhatsApp.
All right then.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you so much. Okay, so before you go, can you do something for us?
What?
I know that people are anxious. Can you just like say a word of prayer?
I'll say that. All right, no
Please.
problem. Father, in the name of Jesus, I pray for every single person under the sound of my voice. They have come to you today. They have questions in their hearts. The future may not be very clear, but you are a God who knew the end from the beginning. And with every temptation, you have provided a way of escape. This wasn't designed to reduce or diminish anybody, but to bring about expansion, increase, and growth. I therefore ask that you open the eyes of every single person under the sound of my voice to that which they cannot see this moment, that will accelerate the growth of what they are doing with their hands and bring about, cause this season to be one through which they will experience an enlargement and expansion within their life. Open up their eyes that they might see that particular thing. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you so much.
All right, then. Thank you for having me.